Hi there, and welcome to today's vlog. Now, I would imagine that it's very difficult for youngsters growing up today to imagine a world without Google. These days, if you want to find out information about a person or about an event or anything of that nature, most people would turn immediately to Google. And let's face it, it's a marvelous resource. Not always wholly accurate, but it's a marvelous resource. When I was growing up as a young person in East Yorkshire, if I wanted to find out some information, there was, of course, no Google or not even any internet. But we did have a very useful information service. In Hull, based at the Central Library, there was something called the Hull City Information Service. So if you wanted to know something, find out about something or a person, you could ring them up and they would then go and look up that piece of information from the library resources and ring you back. It was really useful. Of course, not needed these days where we can all look up our own information. Also, as well as information, there's visual images. Google Maps will tell you directions. Google Earth. In fact, you can type into Google our address and it'll come up with a picture, an image of the front of our bungalow. Although, having said that, Google Images is a bit out of date, because if you reverse that and look opposite to where our bungalows is, you see there a field, a farmer's field. Well, of course, that was taken some years ago, and now opposite there is a big housing estate. Well, it's in the process of being created. We knew that was happening when we moved here just over a year ago. So for about half a mile, there's houses being built, new developments, 3 different housing developments, probably hundreds of houses being built there. I was walking recently past one of the developments and they had some big new posters, massive posters outside the development to try and attract people to go and look at their houses. And one of the posters had this 3-word phrase: live for wow. Live for wow. And I've been pondering on that, because it seems to me to, in a sense, sum up the spirit of the age, which is all about a hedonistic pursuit of pleasures. We want to almost live life on a constant high. And people seek that in all sorts of different ways, to live life on a high, to have as much pleasure in our life as we can, not to just live what people feel is a monotonous life. And that can sometimes even happen in church life, when we go along to a particular church service perhaps, and we want to be almost entertained. We want the preacher to be sparkling in his or her delivery, and the service to be uplifting, and we feel God's presence. We rely so much, don't we, on our feelings, and if the service doesn't live up to expectations, we might say, I didn't get much out of that, which is sad, really. And I want to just refer you to a couple of verses from St. Paul's letters. First, writing to the Philippians, chapter 4, he says, I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. Of course, sometimes in our life, sometimes in our Christian life, our spiritual journey, we are on a high. We feel so close to God. Perhaps miracles are taking place, or we just have that real sense of God's presence, and a service really blesses us. We're uplifted, we're encouraged. But it's not always like that in our Christian life. Sometimes the going is hard. Sometimes it feels fairly ordinary, our lives. But Paul says, I've learnt to be content whatever the circumstances. We all go through highs and lows. And it's that contentment through our relationship with God that keeps us going. Not always looking for the next high. And then Paul, writing to his young protege Timothy, he says, godliness with contentment is great gain. Godliness with contentment is great gain. So are you someone who's constantly looking for the next wow experience? Do you live for wow? Do you want always to be living on a high? Or are we content sometimes to have those highs, but sometimes to experience the lows in the knowledge that God is with us, that we're walking with him? What a blessing that is. And sometimes we don't feel God's presence with us, but we know that he's promised to be with us all, excuse me, to be with us always in every circumstance, the good times and the tough times. So thank you so much for listening today. May God bless you. May you know that contentment that comes through relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. God bless you.